Hello, viewers. Good morning. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, English Made Easy by Teacher Ezra. If you've not subscribed to this channel, remember to like, subscribe, and share to be notified on upcoming videos. Today, I want us to study the second episode of Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House of Act 1. Having looked at Act 1, Episode 1, our focus now shifts to Episode 2 of the same act. In this episode, Mrs. Kristen Lind, a new character, emerges. She is an ex-schoolmate of Nora's, and she arrives at the Helmers in search for a job. On her arrival, we see a dejected, timid, and doubtful Mrs. Lind. As Nora comments, Nora says she's a little paler. She is perhaps a little thinner. And Mrs. Kristen Lind herself adds that she is much older. When she arrives, Nora, to a greater extent, appears insensitive by always talking about herself and taking the moment to really tell Mrs. Kristen Lind what has been going on in her life. This insensitivity she herself realizes when she tells Mrs. Kristen Lind that I would want to hear from you. I've been really talking about myself. When the conversation changes to Mrs. Kristen Lind's side, we get to know, we are let into the knowledge of her husband's death 3 years ago. Nora's hypocrisy comes out when she tells Mrs. Lind that she had planned to write for her over the death of her husband 3 years ago, but she kept postponing. Again, we get to realize that Mrs. Lind was married to a much older rich man out of necessity in order to support her sick mother and her two brothers who could not spend for themselves. And this fact underscores the unacknowledged role of women in the society. They are sacrificial by nature, in that Mrs. Kristen Lind decides to jilt Krogstad, whom she loves, for a rich man whom she does not love, for the sake of her devotion to the family. Again, we realize that Mrs. Lind states in page 10 that at the death of the husband that she got married to, the rich old man, she says that the rich old man left her nothing, not even any sorrow or grief to live upon. A clear testimony to the fact that she did not love the man. Again, as we go on, after the snapshot about Christine's marital life, of course, the failed marital life, Nora then starts again boastfully talking about her three lovely children. And by the way, she is insensitive in that Mrs. Christine Lind has no child. The mother is dead, the husband is dead, and she is this lonely woman. And she states herself that she is unspeakably empty. Nora then goes about again boastfully talking about her three lovely children. In episode 1, we also got a glimpse that Torvald is going to have lots and lots of money. And Nora said that this Christmas time they need not to economize. And it is in episode 2 that we get to realize that Torvald is to be appointed the bank manager when Nora tells Mrs. Lind. When Mrs. Lind gets to hear of this news, she is happy, not on the accord of Nora, but she looks forward to Nora persuading the husband at least to get her a position at the bank. And Nora is seen as supportive and helpful when she promises Nora that she is going to talk Torvald into finding for her a place at the bank. Going forward, when the conversation continues, Mrs. Lind is seen to view Nora as childish, naive, without sense, and a spendthrift. This pushes Nora to let her into her guarded secret, a secret that Nora tells Mrs. Lind that no one is to know except her, Mrs. Lind. This secret is that when Torvald was sick, he had overworked himself. The doctors advised Nora to take him to Italy so that he could find a cure there and he could recuperate in Italy. At first, Nora had told Mrs. Lind that she procured the 250 pounds that was needed for this trip from her papa. But then at this time, when Nora feels that Mrs. Christine Lind gets to oppose her womanhood, gets to see her as a child, then she springs up and tells Mrs. Christine Lind that inasmuch as she may be proud and glad of making an end of her mother's peaceful, she also has something to get proud and glad of, and that she single-handedly took Torvald to the south, and she is to thank for saving Torvald's life. Then Mrs. Lind is shocked. Why? In this society, we get to realize that the position of the woman in the society is so subordinate to an extent that a woman is not allowed to take a loan or to procure a loan without the consent of the husband. And it is very interesting for Mrs. Christine Lind to want to hear how Nora bypassed this masculine barrier to later or to take her husband or to procure a loan to be used in taking the husband to Italy. And this Nora states that she's the one who procured the loan. And in procuring the loan, Nora states that she has had to go through various agonies and suffering in repaying that loan. She tells Mrs. Kristen Lind that there is something that is called a quarterly interest. She has been paying the money in installments. We are led into the internal struggles that Nora has to go through in repaying the loan. Nora does not tell us exactly, we do not get to know exactly where she procured the loan, but then in episode 2, what we come out with is that Nora single-handedly procured the loan. There are some agonies that she has to go through in repaying the loan, and one of them is that she has had to forfeit her necessities of life, as she puts there, as she states in page 7. When she has had to buy clothes, she buys cheap and simple clothes. But then she remarks that she is so glad that any cloth that she puts on herself comes out smartly on her. That is a sacrifice that she has had to take in order to repay the loan. Again, she has gotten involved in some odd jobs like needlework, crochet work, embroidery. She also had recently a lot of coping to do. And she states that at some times she goes late into the night trying to make money in order to repay that loan. Nora is also seen to be tortured psychologically. She's tortured psychologically when she confesses that at some times she has been taken to the wit's end, and then she has had to imagine about an old man whom she gets married to. This old man dies. Then, after the death of this old man, he writes a will that dear Mrs. Nora is to be given everything that he possesses and all in cash. So, the issue of repaying the loan has agonizingly troubled Nora to an extent that really psychologically she is open to even getting married to an old man. She fantasizes about an old man who she gets married to. That is the length to which Nora goes in her psychological disturbance, because she does not find repaying this loan easy. It is a difficult task, a Herculean task for that matter. Someone may also get to ask that if Nora took Torvald to the south to be cured, why is it that Nora cannot approach her husband, Torvald, cannot tell Torvald that, you know what, it is it was not Papa who gave me the money, the 250 pounds, to take you to Italy. And that's why you are alive. It was myself who did it. Someone may ask himself or herself why now Nora does not do this. If we look at page 20, then Nora gives us an answer as to why she does this. Nora does this when she states that it would be painful and humiliating for Torvald, with his manly independence, to know that he owed Nora anything. So then Nora has studied the husband that she lives with, and she knows that Torvald is chauvinistic to an extent that he would feel humiliated and he would feel uh, defeated when he finally gets to realize that it is the wife to whom he owes his life. And not only that, but Nora says that such a revelation would upset their relationship with Torvald altogether. And then, lastly, their beautiful home would exist no more. So, this is the reason as to why Nora decides to keep this secret to herself. And we have gone through the agony that Nora has to go through in trying to conceal this secret. And as we go on, even into other episodes, the agony will just intensify. It takes me back to something that we left pending in episode 1. In episode 1, we said that there is an instance of dramatic irony. That is, if we look at page 3. In page 3, there is a statement that is ironical that Torvald makes. Torvald says that no debt, no borrowing, there can be no freedom or beauty about a home life that depends on borrowing and debt. He continues to say, we too have kept bravely on the straight road so far, and we will go on the same way for the short time longer that there need be any struggle. In episode 2, we get to realize that that statement made by Torvald in page 3 is not true, because they have not cumulatively kept straightly through that road, but Nora has procured a loan. She has not abided by the standards of this society, of this patriarchal society, by gaining the consent of a male, but she has single-handedly procured the loan. But we don't know from whom she procured that loan. Another thing to also look at is that in episode 1, Nora appears materialistic, and we see this person who is so much obsessed with money. But just as I told us in episode 1, that let us give Nora a benefit of doubt. Let us wait to see if really she's just materialistic, or was there a complex need for money that she had. And we have really come to realize that the reason for Nora telling Torvald when she's given an opportunity to ask for anything of her liking to give her much money, as much as Torvald can afford, the reason for doing that is that Nora is repaying a loan that she procured to save Torvald's life. An instance of dramatic irony. Right now, as the audience, as the readers of this text, we know that. But Torvald still sees Nora as this spendthrift, as materialistic, and as a woman who is obsessed and loves money. Viewers, thank you very much for this for this study. I'd love to encourage those who have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, kindly subscribe, like, and share the videos for upcoming videos.